And let's turn our sights to Montgomery County before we turn to Fairfax County. We've got a lot of big counties around us right here, don't we? Joining us right now, Craig Rice. He is a council member for the Montgomery County Council, and he chairs the county's council's on education committee. Thanks for joining us, Councilmember Rice.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me this morning.
So can you explain what this new plan is? It sounds like you're extending the meal program, the school meals program, to provide weekend food for children who are not getting fed by their parents. Can you explain this to me?
Sure. It's actually a very sobering thing that we have to do. You know, we continue to see here in Montgomery County, one of the counties that's oftentimes seen as one of the more affluent Washington suburbs. But the reality is that we continue to grow in terms of our levels of poverty, and we see that in our school system. And so our children that are on free and reduced meals continues to rise exponentially. And what we're hearing from some of the families and from some of the children in our classes is that they're going home and actually not getting meals on the weekends. And so a program was created a few years ago to create weekend backpacks where they actually take food home with them, healthy snacks and options that provide them with some sustenance over the weekend. They're provided discreetly in their backpacks, and then they come back to school on Monday, and they've actually had some significant items to be able to eat.
All right.
You know, it's crazy to think that these kinds of things are happening, but the reality is that there are some kids that are actually going hungry.
It's crazy because I have 4 children, and I consider it my responsibility to feed my kids. And I don't want to sound harsh because, you know, this is the political delicacy of a conversation like this, because if you start to question this program, suddenly you're painted into the corner of being against hungry kids. I'm not.
Right.
I'm against parents who don't take their responsibility seriously. And with food stamps and all of the other beneficial programs that the state of Maryland does through the generosity of their taxpayers, and also, by the way, incredible generosity to charitable organizations, I don't understand how a parent is allowed to allow their child to go hungry. Why are we investigating these parents before just giving them free food? Are we finding out what it is they are doing with their money and with their benefits?
Well, part of the challenge is that what we want to do is make sure that we're not victimizing the children. If the children are truly going hungry, we need to solve that piece first.
Yeah, I don't think anything hold on, I'm sorry. Nothing I said there is victimizing the children. I am pointing suspicion at the parents. And are we questioning these parents and trying to find out what's going on in these homes? Because to me, this sounds like neglect, and that bothers me. As a parent, I am bothered by that, and I think you should be too. I don't want children neglected in Montgomery County.
Well, there's no question about that. And certainly what we do is oftentimes we follow up if there are instances where we've heard of children not receiving the proper treatment and care that a parent is supposed to give. But we also do know that there are families that even with food stamps, even with WIC programs and everything that are out there, that continue to struggle with providing meals. You know, it's interesting. Folks have participated in the SNAP Challenge, and I think that that's something that everyone should do, trying to live off of the funding that you actually get through the SNAP program. And you understand that those dollars are actually very short. Keep in mind that there are people who are living here in Montgomery County that has one of the highest average median incomes, but also has one of the highest average housing prices that are living off of minimum wage. And that is certainly not enough. You know, then all your money goes to rent or to a mortgage if you're fortunate enough to be able to try and purchase something in Montgomery County. And so folks are struggling to live here. And so I think that that's got to be a part of the discussion as well. And so from our perspective, we're growing this program because, you know, in the meantime, as we know, this is a very expensive place to live. We've also got to do what we can to make sure we're supporting them.
Well, let me jump in here for a minute, because we have this organization that is responsible for investigating, you know, child abuse. It's called Child Family Services, and it seems to me that if a teacher knows that a kid is coming to school hungry, that the flag ought to go up, and the Child Family Services should be called in to find out why that kid is not being fed. Instead, what we have here is a Child Family Services that goes after families who decide that as a parenting choice, they want their kids to be able to walk to a playground. Why are we not focusing those resources on these parents and going after them in a serious way? And then if there's a problem, help them find food, because I'm looking on the internet. I find like 7, 8, 9, 10 different programs in Montgomery County where you can get free food.
That's very, very true. And we have a lot of those programs, but the reality is that doesn't meet the need of what we continue to have in Montgomery County. When you look at the total number of folks that are eligible for free and reduced meals in Montgomery County,
right?
The number of students actually is more than the District of Columbia has students.
But I get all that, and I understand. But you are a wealthy county, and we do have programs in place where people can get food. It seems to me that God, I'm with you. I don't want kids to be hungry. I never want a kid to go without a meal. And if we have to solve that problem short term by doing something like this, that's fine. But the long term solution is to make the parents responsible. And what are we doing to affect that kind of change in Montgomery County?
Well, I think for us, it's really focusing on economic development and businesses, workforce development, making sure that we can get these parents into jobs to where they can provide for their children, to provide for their families. Part of the struggle that we've had and part of the decisions that we've made in Montgomery County is to continue to increase the minimum wage, to make sure that we can ensure that all of our folks that are living in Montgomery County and working in Montgomery County can continue to make more money. And so we're struggling to catch up because, as we see the recession and that really hit a lot of our, especially working poor.
But you'll agree with me that there are programs in place where families can get food, right? I mean, there are plenty of programs in Montgomery County where hungry families can go and get free food.
There are, but they don't meet the need of what we have. We still have more families in need than we have food available. That is a fact.
Our guest is Craig Rice. He's a council member from Montgomery County Council, talking about his plan to expand a food program for children over the weekend. We're almost out of time, but I got to ask, we've seen a huge influx. This isn't a theory. It is fact-based, a huge influx of undocumented children who have been placed in Montgomery County and other counties around the area. And we know that there are huge effects on our schools. We've talked to school board members who said, yes, ASL and the requirements that are there, it's busting our budget. Do you have any information here as to how many of these children that are being fed now through these programs, through the generosity of taxpayers in Montgomery County, how many of them are here illegally and have come here recently in the influx of undocumented children across the border?
We have percentages of undocumented, which aren't that large as a total of our population. We don't know and actually don't identify which ones are a part of this program. From our perspective, again, just as you feel, no child should go hungry. And so regardless of their immigration status, we really feel as though our responsibility is to make
would
sure
you just would you just do me one favor? Would you reach out to Child Family Services and find out what they do, or how is there a program in place that would allow them to investigate a family if a child is going to school hungry?
We would definitely do that, and I can assure you that our school system is actually always very in tune with, if they feel as though a child is being put at risk, that they always do follow up with them. We have a very robust program that deals with specifically that, and so we'll make sure that we continue to do that.
I would just simply point out, if that were the case, I doubt that very few kids would be coming to school hungry.
Well, it's one of those where people try and do what they can, and certainly understanding that a child who eats a peanut butter and jelly sandwich needs some more nutrients and having healthier items for them to be able to have is certainly something that we want to encourage all of our kids, regardless of how much their parents bring home, is really important for us.
Okay, we are way out of time. Excellent to have you, Craig Rice. It's a spirited discussion about things that are many people in Montgomery County and around the entire area care deeply about. Again, it's Craig Rice from the Montgomery County Council. We'll take your calls on this next. 888-630-9625. You heard our interview just now. I think from the tenor of Brian and my questions, you understand where we are on this issue and where we stand. We'd like to hear where you stand. Bob in the district here first up on WMAL. Go, Bob.
Hey, good morning, guys. I wasn't a program employee for these programs at the Virginia Department of Social Services many years ago. And I can tell you, based on the numbers that I saw then and what I've seen since then, that this gentleman doesn't know what he's talking about, or he's lying. One of the two. He's either ignorant or he's misleading.
Well, why don't you tell us what you know?
I'm sorry?
Tell us what you know.
I know for a fact that, well, I mean, you know the answer. You told him there's WIC, there's SCHIP, there's SNAP, there's TANF. The list goes on and on and on. One of my struggles when I worked there was trying to find all this duplicitous benefits, because a lot of times these programs would double and triple and overlap each other, and basically women would get, not just women, I'm sorry, I should admit that was just the predominant. What we saw was usually single women with children. But the fact
and that's okay, because many of these programs were pitched and sold and actually identified as for women and children. So there's nothing wrong with that. But you're right, the redundancy in the system is remarkable, and we keep hearing from people, well, people don't even know how to get these benefits. Well, what the hell are we paying for?
That is simply untrue. Part of our effort on a daily basis was they would spend an enormous amount of money in advertising and soliciting. I mean, part of their success metrics was how many people they could get on the rolls. That's why we have skyrocketed in the number of people who are on the rolls now and the amounts they're receiving. Well, so this is simply not true. And the fact is that if you've got children coming to school and saying, I don't eat on the weekend, that is parent neglect.
It absolutely is. Thank you so much.
On their doorstep the next morning.
Yeah, if we identify the kids who are not eating, because we're now sending them little, weekend snack packs, those same children there should be a referral to child services.
Yep. It's a
radical idea, but I mean, listen, if you're not feeding your kid, you are neglecting your child.
Thank you, Brian.
Where is child services on this matter? Oh, by God, we're going to go out there and chase down the free-range parents and give them all kinds of crap. But we're not going to do something about these kids who are going to school hungry and haven't eaten all weekend long? What is that all about?
Sue in Damascus here on WMAL. What do you say, Sue?
Yeah, hi. Craig Rice is my councilman. And his interview, your questions were terrific. And he's just an example of why this county is known as Moco Loco. And, for you to put that kind of money and then say, well, we have children who aren't eating, and then you say to the president, please drop your unaccompanied minors into our county. They import poverty into here. I got news for Craig. This is not a wealthy county anymore. It's about fourth or fifth in the state, and because we have so much of this kind of nonsense going on in this county, and now they want to raise our property taxes over the charter limit so we can pay for stuff like this.
That's right. They're raising our property taxes, and now they're coming up with new benefits. We got to leave it there, Sue, or actually more of your calls in a moment. Stay on the line, please, because a lot of people want to chime in.
It is now 7:22. It's at 7:27 here on WMAL.
You heard our spirited interview with Craig Rice, council member from Montgomery County, and we do want to reiterate how much we appreciate Councilmember Rice coming on here and having a discussion about these issues that mean so much to his constituents, and we hope that he comes back when the topic allows. Let's go to Ben in Culpeper. Ben, you're on WMAL.
Hey, guys. First of all, I called in before you asked for calls when I heard him talk about raising the minimum wage. The only thing that's going to do is raise prices, so people still aren't going to be able to get all that much food.
Well, and it's going to make people lose their jobs as well. So, if they're working a minimum wage job right now, they might lose it. Also, by the way, they're raising property taxes, which increases their housing costs.
And also, so our country is $20 trillion in debt right now, which is almost as much as we've spent on all of these welfare and food programs. And if that debt had accomplished something, there are still children in our country starving. There are still potholes on our roads. There are still all kinds of infrastructure problems. If that debt had accomplished something, maybe it would be worth it. But apparently it hasn't done anything.
Yep. You're right, Ben, and this is why people are fed up, and this is why on a local level, when we can focus on this, it even resonates more.
And if there's not enough money to go around with these food programs, then I would suggest you go through the food programs and kick the people off who don't really need the benefit and make sure that the people who do need the benefit get it.